Hey folks, Lemonade here. Now you all know I love the Pulsar X2 series. Hell, I own 3 of them, but this is beyond what we have seen. Clear enough to see what makes this mouse so special on the inside? Heck, this mouse is so clear it clearly gets stubby out of diamond. But we'll get into all that right after this.
We all know that this mouse is fucking stunning, and I think you've seen enough pictures of it on Twitter by now. So the first thing I'm gonna focus on for my review is the overall shape. Instead of just reading you all the dimensions from a spec sheet, I'll give you a few comparisons so that you can imagine what the shape actually feels like. So compared to a mouse that I have used a lot, the Ninjutsu Sora, it kind of feels like a mini version of it, but just with flat sides and no flared back that limits your movements. Compared to a mouse that I've used a ton, the HCS Plus, it feels much flatter in height, and it also has a noticeably lower button height. It's not really anything drastic, but it is noticeable. The HDS Plus also comes with some really pronounced flares, whereas the X2 Mini is basically just flat. Now compared to the Superlight, you can't compare it. Getting into some more serious stuff, the second most important quality of a mouse, in my opinion at least, is the coating. If I can't use a mouse without grips, I'm not gonna use it. Except for the Superlight, because I'm fucking GPX pilled. With dry hands, which I don't have, the coating is actually really great, and you won't feel like you're holding a bar of soap. However, the warmer and sweatier your hands become, the more slippery this thing gets as well. I've noticed that mainly in endgame scenarios where I really had to concentrate and get a rock solid grip, and then my thumb just starts sliding a bit and it gets really annoying. Just like the issue I've had with all my Superlights as well, I feel like there's an oily spot developing where the thumb goes already, and that's just after a week's use. Else the coating really isn't an issue at all, but I could imagine it wearing down faster than other variants. Contrary to Stubby's belief, these are in fact not pink dot blue shell skates,
Which kind of sucks because blue shell pink dots are my all-time favorite mouse skate.
but in fact these are some decent PTFE stock skates. In my opinion, you don't have to replace these. I installed core pads on it after having used the stock skates for about 4 days, and the main difference that I noticed was that the stock skates were a bit more controlled and a bit less smooth, but honestly the difference wasn't really too drastic. But what actually are blue shell pink dots are the switches on this mouse. The implementation of them is okay, but not much more than that. They're not as spammable as they are supposed to be, and they feel a bit too heavy. It kind of reminds me of the GM 8.0 implementation in most mice these days, but it's definitely not as horrible as that. Now, the main part you're watching this review, the side buttons, they're perfect. That's it. I actually use mouse free all the time, so I kinda have to mention that it's a bit on the heavier side, but honestly it's absolutely fine. The battery life really isn't anything to write home about. In the week that I have used this mouse daily, I had to charge it twice already. I'd say it actually lasts anyway from 2 to 3 days with heavy usage. Now, if there's one thing I hate more than racism, it's having to download mouse software. Sadly, the Pulsar is one of those cases, since the default debounce time is set to 8 milliseconds. Also, motion sync is turned on by default, so remember that if you're not a fan of it. I personally just have it turned off since I can't really notice a difference, so I just go for the lowest latency possible. Talking about software, for those who actually care, yes, you can program macros, yes, you can cheat in Minecraft, and I really can't be fucking asked to talk about mouse software more than that. I wanted to mention that this mouse seems to be sold out everywhere except for Max Gaming, so that's yet another European W right there. However, should you actually go ahead and buy it right now? I'm pretty sure that most of you who have been interested in smaller mice for a while now have already tried the X2 Mini by now, but if you still haven't tried this shape, I can highly recommend it to anybody who plays aggressive claw or fingertip with a hand size like mine, 18 by 10 centimeters or below. In-game, my finger actually reaches the end of mouse 1 a ton of times, so if you have larger hands and play claw, you really have to do an aggressive curl if you want a comfortable grip and actually reach the buttons correctly. This has been my first time trying out the X2 Mini, and I must say that I highly prefer this to the medium version, which I absolutely hated. Overall, I've just been having an absolute blast with this mouse, and you can see that by my clips on screen. Thanks again, Cody, for teaching me all these tricks. I don't even know what I would be without you. I think I'd just be depressed. Whilst hitting all these clips, at no point I was even thinking about selling this mouse. I have sold over 60 mice on r/mouse market, and this one is not gonna be one of them. Anyway, thank you guys so fucking much for your recent support. I feel like I've only just started my journey, but we're already at over 700 followers on Twitter. I've been in contact with several companies now, and there's a ton of pads on the way for future reviews already. I'll be streaming on Twitch right after this video goes live, so make sure to come over and hang out if you want to talk peripherals. All links will be down in the description, including the one where you can actually purchase the Super Clear. Peace out. Hey guys, Editing Jake here. I actually forgot to talk about the build quality. All I have to say is that my copy is rock solid, and that's about it.